You're sitting in a quiet room. Nothing is wrong. And then, without any sound, without any movement, the back of your neck goes cold, and you turn around. There's no one there. But the feeling was real. That isn't anxiety. That isn't paranoia. That is one of the oldest survival systems your species ever built, still running inside your skull right now. Here's what this means for you. By the time you reach the end of this, you will understand exactly why your body does this, why it will keep doing it, and why the people who call it irrational have it completely backwards. The part that changes how you see yourself comes at the end. This channel, Primal Recall, exists for one reason: to show you that the things your mind does that no one can explain, your ancestors could have explained in a heartbeat. Let's talk about what the world has been telling you. If you've ever mentioned this feeling to someone, that creeping certainty that eyes are on you, that something behind you is watching, that you cannot shake the sense of being tracked even in a grocery store, even in your own apartment, you probably got one of two responses. Either a nervous laugh like you'd said something embarrassing, or a label: anxious, paranoid, overthinking, too sensitive. Maybe someone told you to just relax, as if relaxing were a skill you simply forgot to download. And the worst part isn't the label. The worst part is that you believed it. You started treating your own nervous system like it was misfiring, like something in you was slightly broken, slightly too much, slightly off, in a way that needed fixing. You started apologizing for a reaction you never chose to have. But here is what nobody bothered to tell you. The feeling isn't a flaw in your wiring. It's a feature. And it's been keeping your bloodline alive for longer than civilization has existed. Neuroscientists and evolutionary psychologists have a name for what's happening in your brain when that cold certainty hits. They call it the gaze detection system, a dedicated neural circuit that operates independently from your conscious visual processing. Not a metaphor, an actual separable mechanism. Think of it like this. Your brain runs two different cameras. One is the camera you're aware of, the one reading these words, noticing the light in the room, tracking movement in your peripheral vision. The other camera runs in the background, silent, always on, scanning for one specific thing: the directed attention of another living being. Colin Clifford, a vision scientist at the University of Sydney, who spent years mapping the geometry of how humans perceive gaze direction, found that this system doesn't require eye contact to trigger. It fires on ambiguity. It fires on the possibility of being watched. His work showed that when gaze direction is even slightly unclear, the brain defaults to assuming it is aimed directly at you, not as a mistake, as a policy. Now here is where your ancestors walk into the room. Picture the savannah 2,000,000 years ago, not as a postcard, but as an operating environment. Tall grass, broken sightlines, predators that hunt by watching and waiting before they move. In that world, your ability to detect a gaze before you see the full body attached to it was the difference between walking home and not walking home at all. The human brain faced an asymmetric cost problem, and evolution solved it in the only logical direction. If you felt watched and nothing was there, you lost a few seconds of calm, a minor tax on your nervous system. If you didn't feel watched and something was there, the gene that carried that response died with you. Your ancestors who survived were not the ones who were good at staying calm. They were the ones whose alarm systems fired first, loudest, and most often. You are descended from the most vigilant humans who ever lived. Every single person reading or hearing this is the biological heir of someone whose neck went cold at the right moment. Truth 1. The gaze detection system runs on a logic called error asymmetry. A false alarm costs almost nothing: a brief spike of cortisol, a scan over the shoulder, a moment of tension that passes. A missed detection in the ancestral environment cost everything, so your brain was never calibrated for accuracy. It was calibrated for survival, which means it was calibrated to over-detect. Researchers studying this asymmetry, including work that built on the foundational threat detection models of evolutionary psychologist Arne Oman in Stockholm, found that the brain treats potential social threats with the same urgency it reserves for physical danger. The amygdala, the structure sitting deep in your temporal lobe, roughly the size and shape of an almond, doesn't distinguish between a predator in the grass and a stranger's gaze in a coffee shop. It fires the same signal. It sends the same cold electricity up the back of your neck. It is not confused. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. Truth 2. The system doesn't need your eyes to work. This is the part that shocks people. Your gaze detection circuit receives input from a pathway called the subcortical visual route, a fast, low-resolution channel that bypasses the visual cortex entirely and feeds directly into threat processing structures. It processes information before your conscious mind has registered anything. That is why the feeling arrives before you have a reason for it. That is why you turn around before you can explain why you turned around. The sensation isn't a conclusion your brain reached. It's a warning your brain issued before the thinking even started. Like a smoke detector that doesn't wait for you to smell smoke. It reads the air pressure change in the room. Truth 3. Social surveillance was as lethal as predator surveillance. This is the piece most people miss entirely. In a tribe of 50 to 150 people, which is the social world your nervous system was designed for, the number the anthropologist Robin Dunbar identified by mapping neocortex size across primate species being watched by the wrong person meant something. It meant you were being assessed as a threat, or as prey, or as someone about to be excluded. Social exclusion in that world wasn't uncomfortable. It was a death sentence. No tribe, no food, no protection. Your gaze detection system wasn't only watching for leopards, it was watching for the moment the group turned against you. The cold feeling on the back of your neck is the same system, reading the same signal whether the watcher is an animal or a human with intent. Here is the cost nobody talks about. The world changed, the grass is gone, the predators are gone. The tribe of 150 became a city of millions, a social media feed of thousands, an open plan office of dozens of strangers. But the gaze detection system didn't get the memo. It is still running the same firmware it ran on the savannah. And in a world where you are visually exposed to hundreds of faces a day, surveillance cameras, strangers on the street, coworkers across a room that system fires constantly, the false alarm rate explodes. What was once a precise, life-saving instrument in a low-stimulus environment becomes a siren in a city that never sleeps. The cost you pay for not understanding this is chronic, low-grade hypervigilance, a body that never fully relaxes in public, a mind that interprets neutral environments as threatening, a nervous system running a defense protocol designed for emergencies every single day. So, here is how you work with it instead of against it. First, name what is happening in real time. When the feeling hits, say it internally not to dismiss it, but to locate it. My gaze detection system just fired. That single act of labeling activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain capable of context and evaluation, and it literally reduces amygdala activation. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman at UCLA called this affect labeling. Putting a name on a feeling changes its neurological trajectory. You are not suppressing the alarm. You are telling the alarm who is in charge. Second, give your system a scan and a resolution. The gaze detection circuit needs closure. It fired because it detected ambiguity. The fastest way to discharge it is to actually look, slowly, without urgency. Let your visual cortex confirm what the subcortical pathway couldn't. When you turn and see nothing, you are not proving the system wrong. You are completing the circuit. The alarm sounds, you investigate, the threat is absent, the system resets. That is the full loop. Most people cut it short, they feel the sensation, suppress the urge to look because it feels irrational, and the system stays activated. Let it finish its job. Third, regulate the baseline, not the spike. The gaze detection system fires more intensely when your overall threat load is already high. Poor sleep, chronic stress, social isolation. These conditions tell your brain it is in a dangerous environment, and a brain that believes it's in danger is a brain that sees watchers everywhere. The work is not to fight the individual alarm. The work is to lower the ground level signal that makes every alarm louder. Slow exhalations longer out than indirectly activate the parasympathetic nervous system and reduce the cortisol baseline that keeps the threat circuits primed. Not a metaphor. A measurable physiological shift, accessible to you right now. Here is the reframe that matters. You were not built wrong. You were built precisely calibrated for a world where a missed gaze could end your life. The problem isn't your sensitivity. The problem is the mismatch between the precision instrument you carry and the world it's now operating in. You are not paranoid. You are a finely tuned detection system running in an environment that generates 10 times the signal it was designed to process. That cold feeling on the back of your neck, it is not anxiety. It is not weakness. It is the accumulated vigilance of every ancestor who survived long enough to pass their genes forward. It is the reason you are here at all. Your body isn't broken. It's remembering a world where that feeling was the most important thing a human being could feel. When was the last time your body sent you that signal, the certainty of being watched and there was nothing there? Leave it in the comments. Not because it's strange, because you're going to find out how many other people felt the exact same cold at the back of their neck and thought they were the only one. If this is the kind of thing you want to understand about yourself, Primal Recall is the place to stay.